Hey guys, welcome back to the Journal 3 analysis. Today I'm going to be going through pages pretty fast because I don't want this series to go on like really long. So let's start off with this. As you see, it's the hide behind, and this was seen in the journal, but there's a bit more context here. So if you haven't read that, then you can read it now. Now, cow circles, these guys were never actually seen in Gravity Falls, but there were cows even though they didn't have these weird designs. If you look on them, there's all these weird symbols, and they seem like symbols in the journal, but I don't think they're really important to anything in Gravity Falls. On the right page, you see Crash Site Omega. This is the very important spot that we go to in Dipper and Mabel versus the Future. Now, the hyperdrive was needed for the portal, and that's why they went on this journey. Then on the next page, Ford talks about this new path, and there's this whole story about their journey. Now it shows the Gremloblin. This is interesting because it was seen in the show, but now we actually get more context as to who the Gremloblin really is and what he's done before. And you see on the left page on the bottom, there's this whole picture of Fiddleford and Ford with the Gremloblin. And this would be really cool to see in Gravity Falls, but we never got to see any scenes with Ford and Fiddleford. And if there is some Gravity Falls special in the future, I really hope we do get scenes like this, because this seems like a really epic thing. Like, that would be cool to watch. And now we have a lot of text. It's just like storytelling. I don't want to read all this because that would take way too long. On the right page, we see Memory Gun. This is one of the most important things in the series because it's what ultimately defeats Bill. It shows like the parts to it and the science of it, basically. We didn't really learn that in the actual show, so this has a lot more background for that. Now, this is important because there was never any mention of the carnival in the actual show, but this is a whole storyline in the journal. It's where Ford and Fiddleford go to this carnival with all this fake stuff, like the Gorican. This is probably where Grunkle Stan got his inspiration. Like, Ford may have told him about this, and Grunkle Stan made the Mystery Shack. Now, this is interesting because it's the palm reader, and that's the hand witch. I was surprised by this because I didn't expect her to be, like, actually canon. Little Gift Shop of Horrors didn't seem like it was completely canon. It just seemed like it was sort of for fun. But to see the hand witch actually be a part of the Gravity Falls story, that's pretty cool. On the right page, we see the Carney. This is Blind Ivan, and it's one of the things we haven't got explained in the show. Blind Ivan is a very mysterious character because he just showed up in Society of the Blind Eye, and he also showed up in Weirdmageddon, even though that was just his head. But we didn't really get any background to him, and if you read the journal, you'll know that he's the Carney, and you'll know all this stuff about him, and it's pretty cool. Now, on the left page, you see the Bill wheel with all these different symbols, and at the very bottom, there is a code. Never trust a witch. They'll curse your ear and turn you into an immortal goat, so I hear. Squash with human face and emotions, that was seen in the show. Alright, now these two pages are talking about how Ford wants to have this secret laboratory, and this is the background behind the episode Into the Bunker, so that's interesting. Now, this is the diagram of the bunker. So all these things you see were in the show, and it's just really interesting to see this. These two pages are just technical stuff with the cooling chamber, but there is a small code on the right page. It says Ice Ice Baby, which is a clear reference to the song. These two pages aren't really that important. It's just the code that we see in Into the Bunker. Remember when Dipper just put the black light to the journal? This is that page. And if you put the black light, you'll get the correct symbols. Cryogenic tube, this was also seen in the show, and it's the shapeshifter coming out of the egg. Alright, now the left page is interesting. That picture is just cool because we have never actually seen Ford's face in this journal yet. Because the one page where he was actually on, he was crossed out with like red ink or something. And Ford just didn't draw himself, and he didn't show his face until a certain point later on in the journal. But this is probably because he didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands. He didn't want people to figure out who he was. And it's just showing like this dark shadow, basically. And you can see Fiddleford, but you can't actually see his complete face. So you never really see faces, and this is just done to protect the identities of those who are shown. Now, the code on the right page is, am I me? Is he me? And I'm pretty sure that was also in Gravity Falls, the show. The left page is significant because it shows Ford shaking hands with Bill. This was a big part of the show. In the last Mabelcorn, we find out that they made a deal. And if you notice, on the very bottom of the left page, there's a code. My muse has warned me that my assistant may not be committed to the cause. He thinks that F is not bold enough to follow through. I worry he might be right. On the right page, it's just giving us more background. These two pages give us more background, and on the left page at the bottom, there's another code. Thanks for letting me borrow your body, Sixer. Enjoy the mystery bruises. This is a reference to the last Mabelcorn when we see Bill and Ford, we see their history basically, and it's showing that they have the chest and the teacup and all these things in space. That's just a reference to that scene. This is one of the most important pages in the journal, because on the left page you see the portal, the two people throwing in the third person in, and this was something that I theorized on for so long. Like when we saw this page in the show, it was just two people throwing another person in the portal. This spawned countless theories. I kept looking at it in my videos. It could have been the mystery trio. It could have been like anybody, and this picture is just really important, and now we get the full context of this page, so that's really cool. If you notice on the left page, it says January 17th with probability of failure. This was the chart that was seen in Society of the Blind Eye when Fiddleford was talking to the camera. He had this chart in the background, and then it shows like all this text about how there's like these weird things going on in Gravity Falls thanks to the portal. These are also very important pages in the journal because it's what makes the portal actually able to function. And this code was seen in the show. It was at the season 1 ending, and we saw this code. It says, the portal when completed will open a gateway to infinite new worlds and herald a new era in mankind's understanding of the universe. Plus, it will probably get girls to start talking to me finally. Anyway, that's all for this video. Be sure to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.